Welcome to Manna at the Tap, a podcast of Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna. It nourishes our souls, fostering spiritual growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Today is Wednesday, June the 10th, 2026, in the second week of Ordinary Time. The lectionary reading is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 12, verses 1 to 8. It was a Sabbath morning. Jesus and his disciples were on their way to the synagogue, and the disciples were hungry. As they passed through a grain field, they began to pick and eat some heads of grain. This was permitted under the law given to Moses in the Old Testament, which commanded farmers not to harvest all their crops, but to leave some behind for travelers and the poor. The Pharisees saw what the disciples had done, and they approached Jesus asking why he allowed them to do what was unlawful on the Sabbath. The Pharisees, the religious leaders, considered the disciples guilty of breaking the Sabbath by preparing a meal. You see, under their strict customs, the disciples were seen as harvesting crops when they reached out, picked the grain heads by hand, and blew away the husk. These actions were deemed unlawful on the Sabbath. Jesus defended his disciples by telling the Pharisees that their man-made legalism had perverted the Sabbath's law true purpose. Jesus asked whether they had not read what David did. He and his men were in the wilderness fleeing from King Saul, who was pursuing David, and they were hungry. David approached the local priest to ask whether there was any leftover bread, stale bread. The priest, however, had only freshly baked bread meant for himself. Nevertheless, he gave this bread to David and to his men to eat. Jesus then reminded the Pharisees that even priests who work in the temple on the Sabbath do it to prepare sacrifices, and he criticized them for valuing their made-man rules more than caring for people's needs. The Pharisees completely missed the heart of God, whose central message is to show mercy rather than demand sacrifices. Had they understood this, they wouldn't have judged the innocent disciples. Jesus then announced that he possessed divine authority and declared himself Lord of the Sabbath.